Hey guys, it's Monica at Academic Phoenix Plus, and welcome to another video tutorial on how to 3D model Catra from the Netflix She-Ra. In the previous tutorial, we've done her leg, we've done her arm, we've also done her torso. So let's move on to her head. Heads are a little bit more complicated than the body, but hopefully this video tutorial will teach you a trick or two on how to model a head efficiently. If you are new to this channel, I post 3D tutorials on a weekly basis. Software that I cover include Maya, ZBrush, Substance Painter, and more. So if that is your sort of thing, please consider subscribing. So bring out your creativity, open up your software, and let's get started in modeling Catra, specifically her head. So the face is actually very complicated, and the reason why it's complicated is because it has to have proper topology for it to react accordingly. So the reason why we want proper topology on the face is that if we want to animate this character and use facial expressions, there's a specific type of topology you need to have to for it to work accordingly. So the way topology works in 3D is that you want to have circles around the eyes, circles around the mouth, and then somehow these things all have to connect together. I know this looks weird and red was probably not the best choice, but the idea is that you need to make sure that these things, and then of course there's the nose that kind of sticks out. So we have proper topology on our objects. So the biggest thing is that when our character's eyes open and close, they have to be in a circle, and the mouth, because it's so flexible, it needs to have a lot of edge loops. Right? So that's kind of like the method behind the madness here. So how do we do this? Well, to get proper topology, I'm going to start off with a plane so that I can get the correct topology going. So I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees. I'm going to lift it up, and I'm going to look at it in the front view. And I really don't need all this mesh at the beginning. So I'm going to actually change this to a 1-1 on the subdivisions, because I'm going to be focusing on is on one side of the face and then add my own topology. So the first thing I do is grab the vertex and choose where the forehead is going to be and where the chin is going to be. And the other one is going to be where the where the other side of the head is going to be and where the bottom of the jaw is going to be. So somewhere like that. Doesn't look like very much, but this is what we're going to start off with. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is grab my object here, bring it forward, and then slightly rotate it, because I need to be able to use the same perspective that I did on the body and everything else. I'm going to start with the front and then work on the side. So same story here. This is where the front of the forehead is. This is where the chin is. This is going to be where the jaw is. And then this is going to be where basically the head is. So it's like around here. So this is going to be the face, and then eventually I'll get to the skull. All right, doesn't look like much, but let's go ahead and shift right click, insert edge loop tool, and I'm going to split it in half. One is going to be the eyes, and the other one is going to be the mouth. So as always, you want to make sure that anytime you make new mesh, you want to start modeling it and place it into the correct section. So I'm going to move this to the top of her nose. And this is going to be, again, the face. So I'm just going to make sure this is okay. Then I'm going to go to the front view. And let me go to X-ray mode here. So I added this one, and I'm just going to move this. Now, as you can see, the drawing is not perfect. So that's why things move around. But I can kind of get an idea of what's going on. I can already tell that the drawing actually is pretty good. Let me just nudge this down, because I want to be the eyes here. So that means that my vertices need to be moved a little bit. All right, next I am going to, this is going to look a little weird, but I'm going to grab a top face. I'm going to extrude. So Control E, press R to scale uniformly. And I'm going to delete that inner face. That is going to give me the edge loops for an eye. So now I can go into vertice mode and start well, she's frowning a little bit, so I'm going to see if I can capture just her eyes. But basically, we're going to use this mesh to create her eyes. Now, right now it's a square, so we don't have much geometry here to work with, but that should get me at least going. So then I'm going to go to this side, and again, you can see that we have geometry here, and we just want to make sure everything's placed accordingly. Cool. As for, and then you might want to look around to make sure this is actually looking okay. So as you can see, if you know anatomy, your eyes aren't, this part's not forward. This part's more forward. So let me just kind of grab this one and make sure that this is moved forward. And kind of matches the eye. So if anything, I can maybe nudge this one back. This is going to be, I would say this is probably going to be very challenging because our eyes are not human. So it's going to be really hard to get that anime eye. Okay, the mouth. So the mouth is going to be very similar. I'm going to extrude. I'm going to scale inward. I'm going to delete that one. And I'm also going to delete the one on the left. This is going to give me the mouth. So with this, I'm going to grab those vertices, and this is going to be the top of the mouth. This is going to be the bottom of her mouth. Again, I just have a line to work with, so it's going to be kind of challenging. And this is going to be the side of her mouth. Going to go back to this view, and this is going to be the top of her mouth, and this is going to be the bottom of the mouth. And these are the sides of the mouth. So now we have a funny looking mask. That's okay. We're going to add more mesh, but right now you can see that it's interesting to look at. All right, so let's add some edge loops to kind of help mold this a little bit better. So I'm going to shift right click, insert some edge loops, and I'm going to bring one here, bring one at the top, bring one on the right, and then bring one on the left. So I'm going to focus on the eyes first, and then I'm going to focus on the mouth. So again, anytime you guys add mesh, it's really important to start shaping the eye. So this is going to be her eye. And let's go ahead and go to this view. Don't forget to move this one forward because it's supposed to be her cheekbones. And this one actually looks okay. Actually, this one's supposed to be slightly lower. Let me double check the drawing. Okay, so I'm gonna have to make some aesthetic choices. You could say that. Now, because her eye, if we know about human eyes, they actually are more like, they're not flat, even though hers look flat, our eyes are actually more crescent, right? So I'm gonna take this one and actually nudge it forward. All right, I'm just kind of looking around. Cool. So let's add some edges to the eye. So we're going to insert an edge, and one edge is going to represent her eyelid, like basically her eyelashes. One's going to represent the crevice, and then one is supposed to represent her eyebrow, right? So the first edge is her eyelid, or where her eyelashes are going to be. The second one's going to be the wrinkle, which is kind of hard to see, and then her eyebrows. Now, again, she's frowning, so it's going to be a little hard, but basically, if you know your anatomy, your eyebrows are a little bit higher. So with that, I can start shaping the with this a little bit better. So for example, I'm going to take these guys here and just kind of push them backwards and up, right? So that's going to give me a little bit of that wrinkle. So if I press the number 3, you guys can see that it basically acts like a wrinkle. Now the top one is the forehead. So again, if we take a look here, she is frowning, but we can use this as a way to push this forward. The bottom ones are the same thing. So because she's so stylized, her eyes are going to be a little bit tight here, but at the bottom, but I can move these forward to kind of give her a little bit of that cheekbone. And then of course, we are going to grab the new edges that we just made and just kind of push that backwards and in and down. So that's going to give her the eye pouch down here at the bottom. Now it does get a little tight here as well. So we want to make sure that we kind of spread out just make sure that we get the crevice. So let's make sure that everything's kind of piled on each other, okay? And just gonna move things around so that you get the nice details. So if you want to see the effect that it's having, press the number 3 and you can see what we have so far. So I'm not a fan of that wrinkle at the bottom because everything's a little close, but I am getting almost like an eyelid, and I could probably make this a little bit more dramatic by pushing this a little bit further. And I am going to be adding a little bit more geometry as I go in, but just keep that in mind that this is just kind of like a rough base. So let me bring these guys a little lower because they're making it look like a wrinkle. Just gonna push it down. And something like that. So there's definitely more work I need to be doing, but hopefully that gives you an idea. I'm going to create a sphere and I'm going to bring it in. This is going to be my eyeball for now. I'm going to reduce it. And this is also going to help me make it feel like the character has actually an eye. So by adding this this eyeball is going to help me feel like she actually has a sphere, which is our eyeballs are actually a sphere. And this will help me kind of place the sphere to make sure that my geometry is actually following the correct space. Something like, double check my eyes here. That's where her pupils are. Okay. So you can see that by adding the sphere, I need a little bit of work when it comes to my geometry, which is why I do this. So what I'm going to do is create a new layer and just kind of make it semi-transparent by clicking on this once. So now I can't select it, but it's visually there. So now what I can do is grab my vertices. Now I'm assuming Catra is realistic, which she's not, but I'm going to just use the information that I have on a sphere and just kind of manipulate this so that it actually wraps around an actual sphere. So theoretically, eyes, even if they're cartoony, it's going to be a sphere. So I'm using this as a way to reference and try to make it fit better to an actual eye. Let me grab these guys and I need to push them back. And these guys need to be pushed forward. Now, again, it's good to have this shape now because as you guys go further in, we're going to add even more topology. And therefore, we want to make sure that the geometry fits this already. So as we start expanding it and shaping it, it will actually start fitting better. So it's sticking out a little bit at the bottom, but hopefully you guys get the idea. Spread this down a little bit, and I'm going to bring this in a little bit. And I'm going to bring this in too. All right, the mouth. Before I do that, let me fix my forehead. So I'm going to choose the multi-cut tool. And what I'm going to do is choose this corner. I'm going to cut upward, press enter, cut here and go to the left, cut here. And then I'm going to delete this edge. And the reason why is because I want a nice edge flow to go down to represent my nose. So as you can see now, instead of having this really weird edge, I now have a nice edge that's going to go through, or nice faces that are going to go through my character, which is going to be a lot easier when I try to mirror it. And it's just going to look a lot better and react better as well. So as you can see, the topology is still working really well. I still have loops around the eyes. I haven't done the mouth yet, but we have something for the nose, and now we're gonna start focusing on the mouth. So just like before, I'm gonna insert a couple of edges to represent the mouth. And I'm also gonna add another edge here, which also impacts the mouth. So I'm just kind of adding a couple of extra edges along the chin, one around the side of the mouth, and also around here, so that I can start working on the face. Now, since I was just working on the eyes, I want to make sure that everything's rounded. So I'm going to round this up a little bit. And I might need to grab some of these and just kind of push them back. Just be careful. Don't grab anything you don't need to. So just to make sure it's actually focusing on the eye. And let's work on the mouth. So the mouth, I'm going to just kind of tweak here. This is going to represent the chin. So anytime you guys have mesh, you want to go ahead and kind of work on it to make sure that it's looking smooth and a little bit more, not straight lines, but you want to make sure it's got some sort of curvature to it. Same thing at the bottom here. Again, it's really hard to see with this animated character, but hopefully I can get a decent looking, looks like our chin is more pointed this direction. So again, you're just using the geometry to kind of shape the mouth, and you want to push these forward because this represents the bottom of her mouth, or her chin, basically. Same thing with this one. So take a look at it in this direction. See, make sure that everything's looking okay. The bottom is looking okay. Let me see. It feels like this needs to go a little bit more forward because we're slightly flatter in the front. So I'm going to push this forward just a little bit. So that means that these guys needs to be pushed forward as well. Doesn't look like much, but let's go ahead and focus on this one, which is the side of the mouth. So let's go ahead and bring this up. And then we also have the cheekbones. So again, everything needs to be kind of, Maya will push everything to kind of like make it look like it's straight, but because we're organic, you want to make sure that everything moves forward too. Okay, let's talk about the nose, but let me fix the mouth. So this is supposed to be the bottom of the mouth, right? So the mouth has edge loops. So this usually how the mouth looks like is we have a top lip and then it goes down, right? So I'm gonna make this edge the inside of the mouth, a little bit inside. This is going to be the outside lip, and then you go from there. So this is going to be more like the front, but let me again grab this forward. So this is going to be forward. This is going to be the top of the lip. This is where it gets really close. So you got to bring these vertices closer together. And now let's take a look at it in perspective. So let me grab this one. But at the end, what I'm trying to make sure is that I have a little bit of a lip, which I need more geometry, but basically I've got the basics here. And let me make sure this is pushed forward. So it looks a little weird because there's no nose, but hopefully you guys can see the the gradual effect. So let me insert an edge here. I'm also going to insert another edge. It's hard because her mouth is so tiny. All right, so this new edge. Okay, so this edge needs to be the bottom of her nose. So grab all those vertices and just kind of make the bottom of the nose. And I might scoot these up. And let's extrude a nose. So you'll notice that when I go down this face, it goes here, here, and then it goes this direction. I actually need an edge that goes all the way down to create the nose. So this is going to take another multi-cut. So let's go ahead and grab the multi-cut tool. And it's going to look a little strange, but what I'm going to do is cut, whoops, I grabbed the wrong tool. multi-cut. Let's see. I need to go down this way, press enter. I'm going to delete, let's see, that face, that edge, that edge. And then I'm going to go across, across, across. So now I can just kind of scoot this over, and now I have a stretch edge that goes all the way down. And my topology still looks good. So with that, I can go ahead and find out where is her nose. Again, it's hard to tell because she's a tiny little pixelated concept art, but at least I can try to figure out where it is. And also make sure your vertices are aligned to produce a nose. So something like this. So you want to grab these faces that represent her nose. Again, double check to make sure that everything on the side is okay. I might actually go in and flatten it a little bit. And let me extrude, Control E, push it forward, crush it a little bit, bring it down. And then, as always, start shaping it. Grab these guys. So you'll notice that I have some inside faces. I don't need those because the inside of the head doesn't have anything. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that. There we go. And now I can grab these vertices and start shaping them. So I'm going to bring this one higher, have an extra edge or a vertice that I'm going to delete. Bring this one up, and then bring these one out. And I can bring this one in. And I'm going to rotate them so they're actually facing each other a little bit better, which I can rotate like so. So we now have what looks like a really creepy mask, but the face is starting to come together. Now she's got a tiny little nose, so, just keep that in mind. So let me just kind of change these vertices because she's got a bridge and then the nose kind of expands this way. Now she does have a tiny little nose, but she's going to need nostrils. So let's grab these outer face or this face. I'm going to extrude, make it smaller. And then to get the nose hole, you select these inner ones, extrude, scale, extrude, or bring it up. So now we have a nose. Let me fix that edge here. Let me bring it a little closer. I can also make it smaller. And, it's up to you how dainty you want to make it. But now at least we have a face-ish. So unfortunately, we've run out of time. So I think that's a good opportunity for me to stop. Let me save as before I forget. You can see that a face is going to take a lot longer to model because there is a lot of important information that we can do, but very quickly, we can get something that looks like right now like a mask, but eventually it will turn into a complete face.
Hopefully you learned a thing or two. If you did, please like and subscribe to my channel. That would be amazing. That is your message to me, letting me know that you are liking these videos and you want to see more content like this. Also, don't forget to share if you think somebody could use a tutorial on how to build a character. This would be a great way to start. So please share my videos. That's also would be amazing. Take a look at academicphoenixplus.com. That's where you can find 3D models, free 3D models, trainings, ebooks, and so much more. And you will also find my e-courses if you guys want to learn more about Maya and texturing and modeling and all that jazz. Take a look at academicphoenixplus.com and also take a look at the e-courses. That is another way that you guys can support me as well. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much again for taking the time and keep creating, and I will see you next time.